Are you aware of the comments that the Commissioner of Police made on the weekend that he would be seeking an
Yes.
audience with the magistracy? Because the Prime Minister said that the police and some members of the public, right-thinking members of the public, find some of the decisions of the court puzzling. You are a lawyer of some repute and some
Oh
standing.
gosh.
What are the circumstances in which a commissioner of police might seek an audience? Well, he said authorities. He didn't specifically say magistracy.
Well, based on what he said before, I, like you, interpret it to mean that he's going to seek an audience with the magistracy. But even before we get to that, I am alarmed that the Commissioner of Police, as well as the Prime Minister, Minister of National Security, would make comments as though they are blaming the magistrate for the state of crime, because it sounds as if that's what they're trying to pass the buck, to blame the magistrate. I think it's completely unfair, and it is also,
But before you go on, what brought you to that conclusion?
well, I heard him say that some of the decisions made by the magistrate, right-thinking people, are questioning. And that came after the Prime Minister made similar comments. And I was alarmed by the comments. First of all, if you're going to say something like that, you need to be a bit more specific. What is he speaking about? Which magistrate? I'm not aware that the state of crime in St. Vincent has anything to do specifically with magisterial decisions. I think it's far deeper than that. And to pass the buck in a press conference when you have been silent on this matter for so long and then come and throw it off on the magistrate who cannot defend themselves, I think it is unfair. And he knows fully well that if a matter goes before the magistrate, she has no say on what matters come before her. And then she's a creature of statute. There's so much you can do. You cannot
He or
give a
she.
sentence, he or she, I should say. There's so much you can do. You cannot give a sentence that is above your jurisdiction. And if someone pleads guilty, the law says you have to give an automatic, or you ought to give an automatic 1/3 off. And you never start at the highest sentence anyway. So
It is my understanding that in sentencing somebody, there are 18 things that the court has to consider.
there are numerous things. I never counted them, but there are
Arriving at that
numerous
sentence.
things. Yes, and you're a creature of, well, it's not statute, but the law now. It is almost written in stone, with all the decisions we have had from the court, how you should consider the step by step, and then how you come to your decision.
I've heard one particular magistrate say that, well, he said it in open court. That's the senior magistrate, Mr. Ricky Burnett. He said that the way that the sentencing guidelines operate, an offender could almost calculate what their likely sentence, what their sentence is likely to be for a particular offense.
I think that's a fair comment, because in an effort to create levity, to have across the board,
Parity, maybe.
yeah, so that you don't have one person being convicted for the same offense and you get a different sentence. The court has taken a long time to write sentencing guidelines, almost, as I say, scientific now, that you consider the things and you can virtually predict, saving, for example, something special that occur in the particular case, that the magistrate can use their discretion. But apart from that, you can almost predict within 2 or 3 years what the sentence would be.
I'm not sure if I give you a chance to respond specifically to the question about the circumstances in which a commissioner might be able to seek an audience with the magistracy. Is that allowed in law or in principle?
Well, if you're seeking it, I, there's a separation of powers, And with his coming from the executive branch, how are you going to seek an audience? What are you going to do? Direct the magistrate how you should deal with cases that come before you? I am not sure that is proper.
And it must be put into context that the Prime Minister is a lawyer and Minister of Legal Affairs, and the Commissioner of Police is also a lawyer.
Exactly.
And who's a former Assistant Director of Public
And
Prosecution.
I think that is why I am so incensed, and a lot of people are incensed by the comments, because to me, it appears to be just passing the buck. They know full well that you can't just blame the magistrate.
And not meaning to prolong this, but the Chief Magistrate made some comments in court. I mean, we can only speculate about what she was talking about, but she was saying you were talking about a document and it's not being very legible and you're not trying to blame the prosecutor. But she said, well, we have to blame somebody because that seems to be the trend where everybody's looking for somebody to... Did you get a sense that she was maybe indirectly...
Not indirectly, I could say directly, because I was speaking to Carl, who was sitting next to me, and I was commenting
That's
on
Mr. Carl Williams.
Carl Williams, exactly what the Prime Minister and the Commissioner said. I was commenting on it. I did not realize that she heard me. And then she responded, and that's why she said the comment. So she herself thinks it's unfair, and I agree with her.
And also in you exchanging pleasantries and wishing the court well, she said that she hopes she'd be allowed to do her job, and she made a point that she's a creature of statute, and she said something about amending legislation. So I got a sense that she was saying, well, if the executive is not pleased with what the court is doing, then the executive should amend legislation.
Yeah, and I think more she was saying that her sentencing is a creature of statute too. She could only go up to 7 years. If you put a matter in the magistrate court, you're already saying that it has to be under 7 years or 7 years and below. And you never start at the maximum sentence. You generally start lower and then you go up or down depending on the circumstances. But nobody really you ever get the maximum sentence.
And for instance, this cocaine case, it has generated a lot of discussion. The 60 kilograms. The defendant was a first-time offender. She pleaded guilty. There was strong mitigating circumstances. It was brought to the magistrate's court.
Yes.
So, I mean...
That's why I do not know what case the Commissioner and the Prime Minister were speaking about, but I think there's so much hypocrisy there. There are things I can't go and say further, but I can say it has to be... If that is one of the cases, that's total hypocrisy. Because I didn't hear them talking about berating the DPP for putting it in the magistrate court. How come that was not commented upon?
And the trafficking charge was withdrawn.
Such a serious charge, and why withdraw it? I don't know. I think the administration of justice is under serious threat. And I think that press conference that the Prime Minister and the Commissioner of Police held made it worse.
Thank you very much, Councillor Bacchus-Baptiste.
Okay, sure.